welcome to the Truth Series, Part 8. Part 8, where we break down the current reality of the Western world and talk about things that you either may not know, do not know, or do not want to talk about. Money. The reason why we do everything, give or take. Men is pretty easy to work out. They either want to feel good by any means necessary, they want money, or they want to get laid. It's about, ladies, that's how you figure out men. And now, more than ever, I've never seen men crippled, paralyzed, indecisive, afraid due to money. Not because they don't have it, or not because they don't know how to make it, or not because they could either make more money or change the way that they spend money. But we're in one of the most dangerous predicaments that we possibly have been in some time in the West, because we didn't take out the trash. Now, we could probably all safely suggest, assume and agree that the current government is a load of trash. It's a load of globalists, corporate shills, corrupt, incompetent, but I mean incredibly competent to be corrupt group of people ruining our countries, our freedom, and getting paid to do so. We can all safely agree that they're trash. They're very disingenuous, dishonest, dangerous people, because they write the law, they control our lives somewhat. So what do you do when you have a trash can, so to speak? When you have a trash can or you have garbage in your house and it smells. It's old. Someone needs to clean it up. What do you do? Well, if you're a man, a normal man, a man that actually gives a shit about anything, you'd throw the trash out. You'd take the trash out. Or you'd leave it to your wife or your kids. Which is what you're doing by doing nothing, by avoiding this situation, by avoiding this scenario, by refusing to do anything for whatever reason. You're leaving that trash there for your wife or your partner to deal with. I've actually had more women than almost men contact me over the last year about the current situation with politics, freedom, legislation, what's happening and why, what should they do. Because I'm one of the few men that has the fucking balls and the understanding to talk about it. And I say, why doesn't your husband do anything? Why isn't your man doing anything? Now you can work out why they wouldn't do anything. You can make your own decision on that. I'm not here to insult anyone more than usual. Or in fact, I need to bring it up because they're pussies. They're afraid and they don't know what to do. Or they're afraid of the consequences if they do something. Going back to taking the trash out, yes, it might be hard. Yes, it might smell. Yes, you could make more of a mess that you need to clean up, but ultimately you're getting the trash out of the house. I like to think by this stage in the game you understand how to take out garbage. You understand how to clean. If you're anything like me, not too well, but like, yeah, you know what to do. What happens if you got a garbage bin, trash can, trying to use, in America they call it trash. In Australia we call it rubbish or garbage. What do you do if you leave it there for a day, a couple of days, a week, a month? You may start to get mold. People may judge you. You may start to get rats and cockroaches. In extreme cases, if you left a dirty, trash, disgusting house, you may be evicted. The house may become so damaged that you have to move. And not to mention you're living in trash, people judge you, that kind of thing. When I was a mechanic some 15 years ago, you could tell a lot by the way a person kept their car. Their physical appearance, their career, their character was very similar to how they kept their car. And I'm not saying that they had a nice car, and I'm not saying who you are is based on how much money you have and what kind of car you have. I'm saying in the way that you kept the car. I mean, the back seats are full of takeaway and just stuff you eat and throw in the back. The seat next to the driver's seat looks like the person's spare room. There's just shit everywhere. And this is the same thing that's going on right now in regards to money. Now, I'm not saying when you're wealthy, all your problems are solved. Because you've probably seen it. People who have all the money in the world, they have drug addictions, they have depression, that kind of thing. Money generally multiplies who you are, or multiplies what's going on in your life. If your life's good and you start to accumulate more wealth, your life's going to be pretty good. If you're a fucking angry, negative, weak motherfucker, if you acquire more wealth, you're just going to be even more angry, even more negative, and even more weak, and you probably spend that money on booze, drugs, women until you're back at square one. I have a saying inside of the DFP, the Daily Freedom Path, Defend Freedom Project, whatever you'd like to refer to it as. I have a saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Now, there's always going to be one area or one specific thing that you excel at, either by genetics or hard work or time and effort or money you've invested learning that skill. But the more you increase that one particular thing, whatever it may be, it forces the other areas of your life to also increase. And I discovered this as fitness was my one thing. I was born with a creativity, an ability to speak. But like most people with their talents and God-given gifts, I wasted it. I didn't apply myself to it, and I didn't attempt to make it better than it could have been. I mean, up until the last 10 years. But before I did that, I accumulated money. I chased money. I worked hard. And I thought, just like every other man, if I had more money, if I had enough money, if I had more than enough money, my problems would be solved. I wouldn't be an alcoholic. I would never get depressed. Women would love me, so on and so forth. The same things you probably think. I wouldn't be angry at my kids. Unlikely. In fact, you'd probably be more angry if you had more money, like I just said. And at the age of around 24, 25, I had more money than I knew what to do with. The problems were still there, if not amplified, but I could buy more drugs and alcohol to deal with those problems the best way that I've worked out, which is not a very good way. In fact, that's how I learned about cryptocurrency, because I used it to buy drugs. How's that for authenticity? How's that for transparency? I taught myself about crypto because I wanted to buy drugs. That's where it got its bad name from. That's where it got its stigma and that kind of thing. And also, it frees you from the shackles of society, so that's why the banks hate it. So I had a gambling problem, and the amount of times I would put my ATM card into the ATMs at the casino, countless times, and thousands of dollars. And I won't try and sugarcoat that and say, oh, I used to win somehow. It doesn't matter. Not once did the bank ever contact me and say, hey, you're spending a lot of money in this casino, what's going on? It would probably be around 10 years ago now. I purchased some cryptocurrency using my card. Not the first time I purchased it, but I just happened to use my bank card with this particular transaction. And almost instantly, I received a call from the bank. Hello, Dan, this is Tom from the bank department. Just wanted to... Did you know you purchased some crypto? We just got a flag on your card. You purchased some crypto. You'd be surprised what the banks know about you. And what they'll give authorities if they ask them. I said, yes, I was aware, Tom, thank you. Can you please approve that transaction? I'd like to buy that crypto that I purchased. He said, I'd just like to let you know that this crypto is very dangerous and we're concerned about your safety. So, yeah, we would just... oh, you're concerned about my safety, are you, Tom? Why did you never call me when I went to the casino? In the same way, the guys that are coached by me avoid having conversations with me because I say things like that are awkward. Tom realized that he had called the wrong person because I didn't listen to him, that he was pretending to care about my safety, or that crypto was dangerous. It was dangerous to Tom and the bank that he worked for, but not to me. Be cautious of anyone who doesn't know you or care about you when they start saying things like, we're doing this for your safety. So that made me take a large mental note where I realized that, okay, these banks couldn't give a fuck about me and they don't want me to do this, so I need to do it. So I learned about crypto and I made quite a substantial amount over the years. I probably used it to float my business during these challenging times. It's been a great tool and resource, one for purchases, and I don't mean drugs. You can use it many places these days. And also, this is not my full-time gig. It's just something I do in my spare time, and it's also something I kind of enjoy. The same way you say you don't go to work for money, but you also don't really like your job. But you like that paycheck, don't you? So I thought that is a good skill set to have in the arsenal of tools in my life. The same way I'm no longer a mechanic, it comes in handy to fix my bikes and things like that. I really don't enjoy being a mechanic, and you couldn't pay me enough to do it now, but it's a good skill set to have. Without breaking down the Great Reset, without breaking down the totalitarian medical tyranny regime that you may or may not be aware of and where the future is heading, Daily Freedom Path, Defend Freedom Project, me as a man, I want to teach you these skills. How I'm going to do that, I have no idea. I mean, I know what you need to know, and I know how to teach you, but this is something I've wasted time with. Time is something you don't get back. In fact, it's your greatest asset that we trade for a small figure each and every single week. Not getting our time back with our kids, our partners, doing the things we love, and spending most of our lives in jobs we don't like. I know that because I used to be that man. I would work 7 days a week doing what I love now. regardless if I got paid. Obviously, we lived in a world where you'd almost put something in your bloodstream to keep your job. Must love your job. If a man's paycheck relies on him seeing the truth, more often than not, you'll be surprised how much he'll do to avoid seeing the truth. And you're going to see that with your family, friends, and maybe even yourself over the next coming years. Which is why I want to teach you this information, but I'm not doing it out of the goodness of my heart. Why is that? It's all about money for you, Dan. That's strange. The hours and hours, weeks and weeks of data, information, knowledge, and resources I've shared with you for free. It's all about money. It is for you. Now, I probably have about 5 people a week. That may sound like a lot, but people can contact me in a number of different ways. So, probably about 5 people a week ask me about crypto. What should I buy? What should I do? Can you teach me? I say, sure, here's a link. Download this app. That's step 1. Now, this is step 1 in running a marathon, mind you. Learning to do this is a marathon. Worth doing, like anything that's hard. And I imagine it's worth doing, which is why the reason people ask me. But then I might go back to the email or the chat or whatever. When I see this person in person, how did you go? Like that whole 5 minutes it must have taken to download that app. Or the 30 minutes it must have taken to download the app and sign up. How'd you go? Oh, I haven't done it yet. It's been 4 weeks. Now this happened in my fitness career also. People would see me in a club on a Saturday night. And I looked great and they looked like shit, more often than not. And they would stand there with their 10th drink and they would say, oh man, how do I look like you? I'll teach you. For free. Because I genuinely love what I do and it's not all about money for me. I'll be at the park at 6 a.m. I have a client at 7. I'll train you for free. At 6 a.m. all you need to do is be there. Now 6 a.m. on a Monday to do exercise, which is something you don't enjoy, that's why you need someone else to teach you. When you wake up and you're still hungover from Saturday and it's cold and it's Monday morning, more often than not I'd get the text, oh hey, something's come up, or I'm tired, or just no text at all. Wasting my time. If I charge that person $500 for that session, guess who all of a sudden is there 15 minutes early, shoes tightened, workout gear, ready to go to make the most of that 1 hour. And it's the same thing with this. It's the same thing with everything else I'm going to coach, teach, and give to you in the future. I mean, the things that I give you for free would change your life if you actually did it. But I also know the things that have truly changed my life, that are measurable, beyond anything that I could actually pay for, even though I did pay for them. Courses, programs, guidance, trainers have cost me $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, and that does sound like a lot. It does, and I mean it is. But they gave me a life that I couldn't buy. They made me a person that you can't buy. Hence why I say whatever I want. Because no amount of money could get me to shut up. No amount of money could get me to change. Unless, of course, that's what I wanted to do. That sole individual value that I have is the very thing that every single fucking man in Australia and America should have right now, and this whole thing would stop. I'm not putting this on my face, I'm not putting this in my bloodstream for any amount of money, because you're full of shit. And that's the unfortunate thing. Most people know this is a scam. Most people know they're walking into some kind of communism, some kind of trap, something that they can't come back from. Going back to taking out the trash. You don't want to take it out because it's hard, but your kids will be taking out that trash for the rest of their fucking life because you were weak. I'm going to share with you things like, I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. I know if you have bars and bars of gold and silver. I know if you have a few 100,000 stashed away in crypto. I know if you have 2 or 3 currencies stashed away, not just the dollar. I know if you have 2 to 3 months of food stored away. One or any of those things, if you had them, your confidence, your peace of mind, the control of your own life would be phenomenal. Oh, I would have those things, but what? But fucking what? Let's say you don't have those things. Starting tomorrow, what will you do to learn about crypto? Starting tomorrow, what will you do to look into buying precious metals? Starting tomorrow, what will you do to, one, store food and also be able to grow your own food? Probably about the same thing you've done the last 12 months. Fuck all. And you've done the bare minimum to keep your job, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, not make waves, not look silly around your friends and family for being different or being a conspiracy theorist or doing anything and everything you can to not end up in a social credit system wearing a mask for the rest of your life and your paycheck and your freedom relying on whether you've stuck a fucking poison injection in your arm. I mean, the way I coach men, the way I get men to do things, you seek out this information. You seek out a guide, mainly through desperation, i.e. going back to that drunk person in the club. But you keep going through inspiration. I'm so inspired to keep training because I want this body. I'm so inspired to learn about crypto, although it's boring as fucking hard because I don't want to get stuck in the dollar when it collapses from inflation. Running out of time. Or, just like when I got fucked in the global financial crisis, just like when I would get my ass kicked because I was weak physically and I didn't know how to fight. And those two things, one led me to martial arts, which changed my life and my career. Two, made me learn the stuff I know now. So I don't have to keep my mouth shut about taking some kind of poisonous injection. And the third thing I'll leave you with this. This is why I do everything that I do. This is why I'm making this truth series. And this is why I give this information to you for free. I won't drag your weak, useless ass over the line for free. I won't spend my own individual time with you for free. But I remember when I was programmed by the machine, the matrix. I remember when I used to live in fear and did everything for my job. My dog was very sick and I must have spent about $2,000 on vet fees, which was all my money at the time. And the vet said that they couldn't work out what was wrong with him. He needed more tests, he needed more time in the vet surgery, and I'd run out of money. I also needed to go to my job and the gym, which I hated. So So I remember this Friday morning like it was yesterday. I left my sick dog in the laundry and I went to that job. I didn't save any lives that day. I didn't make any money that changed my life that day. And when I came home, my dog was dead. Rigor mortis had kicked in, stiff as a board. No amount of money will bring back my dog. No amount of money will let me spend that time with him where he died there alone again. And that pain has made me commit my very being to being who I am now. That's why many men don't understand me. That's why many men don't get what my life was like. That's one of 100 painful stories that I have. One, because of the cards life had dealt to me, but two, because of my own stupidity. My own lack of ability to accept responsibility and the truth. And this is exactly why you're in the position where you are now, whether you want to accept that or not. So over the next coming months, I will accept applications of men who want to change, who want to commit to living free. Because I'm tired of offering my services, my skills, my guidance to men who promise me the world and hand me an atlas. That was my favorite saying, my favorite quote from my best friend who shot himself. We were in a very rough business together and he was worn out, was broken down by friends, colleagues who would promise him the world and hand him an atlas. And when he did a 3-year stint in prison and he tried to go back to a somewhat normal life, it became too much to him. Again, another moment that I'll never be able to buy back. Money is important. Money is like oxygen. I mean, try and go a few days without it. But everything that you say you love in life, everything that you do, everything you say you're doing it for, will be stripped away from you one by one until you're nothing but an empty vessel of a man by 2030. The World Economic Forum, the string pullers of the global reset, the ones in charge of Australia and every other country that's saying shit like build back better. You'll own nothing and be happy. You think they're bluffing? You can find out the hard way if you like. Or in time, if you think you've got the stones, the integrity, the dollars, to work with someone who will provide more abundance in strength, wisdom, finances. I have an application process about how to work with me throughout 2022. But for right now, I need to work out how I'm going to deliver these information, these skills, these tools, these resources, and whether I want to have a community of men again. Where I left my Facebook community, I think there was about 300 men. I have about 15,000 odd people that follow me on Facebook, but I'm not using that platform anymore, regardless of how much money that decision cost me. And I need to think how I'm going to coach a group of men, a team of warriors. Because as I've seen throughout the years, if there's any sign of weakness, if there's any sign of negativity, if there's any egos that won't listen, I worked with one man who's incredibly financial, but claimed to me that the dollar was backed by the gold standard. And I actually had to doubt my own belief until I looked into it and realized how inaccurate he was. And this guy was in the financial game. I've been wrong about a lot of things in my life. But if there's one thing I'm telling you now, if you're watching this Truth series, if you're listening to any of this information, the people in your life, the experiences that you have, the country that you live in, the job that you have, none of it is worth you living in misery, breaking your fucking back, and compromising your health, your dignity, and your family to keep your job, to keep dollars coming in. Nothing is worth that. And the moment you realize that, understand that, and accept that, money is no longer the issue. In fact, it never was. You are the problem, but you're also the solution. I'm Dan Fitz, the Street Preacher. It's been Truth Series number 8. I look forward to hearing from you over time. Hopefully we can work together. But like I said, there's no amount of money that you can pay me to put up with your bullshit. There's no amount of money for you to, week after week, month after month, to promise me the world and hand me an atlas. Not only does it frustrate me beyond belief, but it's not me that has to pay the price at the end of the day. It's you and your family. And I'm tired of having ringside seats to watch men destroy themselves. If I wanted to do that, I would have stayed in Frankston. God bless, Godspeed. I tell you all this not to be afraid. People fear what they don't understand. I tell you all this information so you can have a better understanding and therefore make better choices.